and gentlemen, welcome to the show. And for those fans out there that have been enjoying the Deep Inside with Travis Bagent sequence, it's on again. Show number, I think it's number 4 we're on now. And we covered pretty much everything from the start of Travis's career. We've gone up through the years, some of the famous stuff that happened through that period of time. There's been so many. What I would say, guys, if you haven't checked out Travis's series of interviews today, I'm going to put them in the link in the description. Go back, check them out. Travis, welcome to the show again, brother. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me, young man. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Part 4. I'm really, I'm starting to get tired of doing them. So, yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
You know,
I know what happened to John Brzezinski and everyone else now. It's right around 3.5. You're like, why am I here? Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Everything's been great. Your fans have been really cool. It's really interesting, listening to the comments, because usually there's a lot more haters, but it's been all love, man. The people love you. So, no matter what you put, no matter how bad the content is, they just say it's awesome.
No, joking aside, mate, I think you've done a great job, and you've shown a lot of people a side of you that those in the sport that know you well knows there. But perhaps it gets overlooked because sometimes the promotion of the entity that is Travis Bagent tends that side maybe ain't just as appealing, you know. So there's a little bit of that gets pushed away, and they show you clips of you trying to fight Alexis Semerenko instead, you know. You love it, son.
Tough day right there. Tough day.
So the last time out, mate, we covered the 2004 Pulling John event. We hadn't really touched upon the more recent versions of you. So we spoke, and you'd spoken a lot about the fact that in your earlier career, you had pockets of excellence in terms of your form, interspersed by times when you were a little bit less focused, times when you didn't quite do as much, or even if you did, for whatever reason, it didn't go quite as well. You didn't get the same result.
Yeah, they paid the other guy too sometimes. Sometimes that's a problem, right? I mean, I know of at least one particular moment when I really do feel that I maybe was stronger than I've ever been, and I did lose. So some of those pockets of anti-greatness are only like I think maybe Dmitry Trubin is facing. Sometimes your greatness can get you involved in things that, if they don't turn out, they can seem to be negative. But the fact that you were even in the promotion as the number 1 or the number 2 seed, sometimes the other person, it just works out for them. So, but, you're right. Pockets of greatness, meaning pockets of winning, instead of, maybe the form was the same sometimes, but, the result just wasn't.
One of the things that we've had a few questions and a few comments that were sent in or PM to me to ask you. One of the things was they picked up on the fact that you said that in one of the previous shows you felt that your ability to arm wrestle sometime in some of these shows, in some of the major events that you have featured, people won't know or won't have an appreciation for the fact that you were distracted. You weren't the guy that's just shown up, gone to the hotel, eaten what you want, prepared how you want, walked into the venue, focused 100% on your match, and left after getting the result, whether it be win or lose. You were the guy that was organising the event often, running a bracket system, talking to people about every little bit of concern they had, often on the mic itself, various other things that you feel, and I'm going to say I feel like it's a really justified opinion. I've been there myself, but you feel like it took some of the shine off what you could have done if you'd been that blinkered on guy. Just talk to me about that a bit. The other part of that same comment was that, yeah, but how do you know Travis didn't make it so that he had an easier run in the draw? How do you know Travis didn't do this, didn't do that to make it? And because he was running the show, the referees were more lenient on him. All this stuff. Do you appreciate that? Do you see that? Or do you think that's not necessarily even a valid point?
I understand the debate, right? And I play devil's advocate all the time. That's why I appreciate it when people try to defend me. But one of the biggest things I ever tell people is be careful if someone comes to you and they have a real problem with Travis Bagent. Be careful defending me too much because they may very well have a valid point, right, as to what the problem is. So I can play devil's advocate with just about every situation. I love to debate, right? It's one of the, it's a great thing actually. And it allows you to, even when you're on the wrong side of it, you can put up a valid argument as to what the person was thinking, in the situation. So I have a story for every loss if I want to be that guy, right? I can tell you that I couldn't sleep the night before because the guy was snoring. I could tell you that, that I was running the event. And I think that when people talk about someone running the event, I think if you're really, really good at running the event, really good, then maybe you could delegate the responsibility in such a manner that you could pull it off, right? And you could really be, and I tried to do that as much as possible, right? Like bringing you to the show is not from a business sense. If I am the announcer, bringing you to the show to do some announcing so that I can concentrate on arm wrestling is a way for me to delegate the responsibility. However, it's also giving you my job when I'm not the boss or when I'm not the announcer anymore, right? So bringing Karen Bean in to do the brackets helps me not worry about the brackets, right? So a lot of those times I tried to do all that stuff as well as possible. But the truth is I'm not really that good at delegating the responsibility to a point where I don't feel that I need to continue, producing, right, and directing and working. So I think that I'm not that good at running the show. Because I'm not that good at running the show, I got to work really fucking hard at it. A lot of hours, just spend more time because I'm not quite as organized as maybe some other people. So for me personally, it was more important for me to run the show than it was to be in the show to me. It was always mixed feelings with the person I was working for. Yep. That's always a debate. Do we use Travis more as the athlete or more as the producer? Right? And Travis wants to be the producer. That's the problem is, to me, arm wrestling got in the way of me running the show sometimes rather than the other way. So every person who tells you that Travis is just making an excuse, he's really not the best arm wrestler in the world. He's only saying that so that he can remain relevant enough to sponsors and to the up-and-coming arm wrestler that maybe doesn't know the whole history of the sport. And that's a valid point. Like, I can understand. I wish that I could argue for them because I could argue a lot better for them. But when they do try to do that, all that I try to do is just point out various times in my life that I wasn't in charge and that I was kind of set aside as just the athlete.
Yeah.
And that I still managed to take over the entire event. Right? Like when I was on the show with Michael and Devin the other day, and I'm tough on those guys. First things first, I love those guys and I have the utmost respect for what they can do. It just irritates the shit out of me that other people love them too and that they take some of the limelight away, But the fact is they're awesome guys, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I would rather be their boss than their peer. So I think that that's what's gotten in the way. Like, I get it. If the W.A.L were to embrace the Travis Bagent brand in a way that I wanted them to, I would have a, 6-match deal where I would only test myself against Michael or Devin at the end, right? And that they would build up this character because in my opinion, I could blow that thing up right? Like just absolutely kill it. But on the flip side, my goal is to be Steve Kaplan, to have the financial backing, to probably do exactly what he's done, maybe a few little format changes. But, the simple story is at 43 years old, I probably got just as good a chance now to be the boss of something unique, as I do about being, having the brand depicted the way that I want it to in another league. I think I could get in with another league pretty easy if I didn't have high demands on producing a brand and trying to, have a multiple show deal, so to me, it's like 50-50, right? Like I got a 50% chance of doing it on my own or a 50% chance of, doing it for someone else, but doing it at a level that's, beneficial.
I wanted to jump way in on that argument a little bit, mate, and back you up. And people can say, okay, yeah, you're going to speak like that, Neil, because you're in a similar situation, right? But I want to say that there's really credible evidence, in my opinion, that your best performances, your most memorable performances, have definitely come when you've been the guy that's just been the arm. I'm talking about arm wrestling now, mate, incidentally. Talking about at the table. So the moments in your career where you've come in and everybody's gone away going, holy, he's serious. You've walked away with the win. And I'll name a few examples that I think. Number one, the Ottawa thing. In fact, before that, the GNC show where you took out Randall and Gardner. For you, huge moment. You weren't running anything. You just came in, you arm wrestled, done. Then, World Championships Ottawa. You go over there, you're the hungry guy, you're coming up, you've got a point to prove, you go, you pull off a massive win. In dominant fashion, it's got to be said, right? If we wind the clock forward then to when you're competing in the PAL, notable victories over Alexei, Andrei Pushkar, Farid Usmanov. Again, in pretty short order, you've had great wins in those environments when you've been the guy that's just come in and done the show. And more laterally, if you want to come into a situation where we wind it right up to I'm going to say your most recent WOW outing, okay, which was probably 2016 World Arm Wrestling League. Same situation, you weren't involved in running anything, you rolled in, you were the athlete, you competed, and you blew through everything. You took both hammers, left and right, that day. So, I think that's pretty credible, hard evidence that when you come in 100% motivated and focused on being the athlete, being the competitor, then you have got a real track record of getting the thing done. So if anybody to sort of cap off those comments and cap off that question, and yes, I'm biased because I've been in a situation where 90% of my career from 2001 forward, in fact more, 95% of my career, had always been when I was doing every job in the room. Like you said, I'll sit down with a napkin and a pencil and a microphone and I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm that guy as well. All your impressive performances in your career, if anybody's under any illusion that all mine came prior to that, I mean, exactly the same as have just been said about yourself. You chart my history back to when I'm competing and I'm not that guy. I'm not at the same time scoring the event, emceeing the event that night, prepping everything. Very different results. And I'm not, and yeah, I'm going to defend you in that area because I am a really similar character in that respect, but I do think it's massive. People don't appreciate that focus is a big thing. If your focus isn't on it, if your head's not on it, it's going to detract from your capabilities. It's going to detract from your performance. And that's not to sort of take away from guys that have got wins against you. It's really not about that. It's about, let's look at this fairly. And that's why I think this, but that leads me to the next point, mate. Do you give a shit anymore? Arm wrestling?
I don't think that, you know what? I don't know if some days I do, some days I do care. Like even this morning, I wake up to, the Ingen, the thing that we did, where we all did the other day.
If you haven't seen that, guys, in the presence of greatness, there was myself, Travis, Michael Todd, Devon Larratt, Engin Terzi, the first part of a two-parter, two-parter that we've had Travis on, went out today. So go check that out. In the presence of greatness, you'll find it on the playlist here.
So I'm watching, I got the phone on the island, and I'm watching some of the video, and I just, all of a sudden, I have this vision where, you know, Levon's over there, and the table's between us, and then, you know, they call us up. And, you know, one thing about me is I'm realistic, right? Like, very down to earth, and I will tell myself the truth, right? I lie to myself a lot too, so I can train and work. But also, there's that moment where, you know, right before you walk up there, where you really have to have the talk, right? The talk that, hey, listen, how the fuck did you get yourself involved in this? And how are you going to respond?
Yeah.
Are you right now going to be a sissy? And I tell you right now, if you don't have that talk with yourself, or at least if I don't have that talk with myself, I have shown up a sissy and not talked myself out of it and left the tournament a sissy, meaning that I really didn't have enough respect for the situation. And I already let failure get inside of me a little bit. But I had that talk this morning, the same one I had in Moldova, the same one I had, you know, before I arm wrestled Jerry, mostly Jerry in 2016. I had to have that talk, right? And it just is the very simple, like, yo, just don't be afraid to go as absolutely insanely hard as you possibly can, because that's a vulnerable place to be. When you put it all out there, every little bit, and you can't lie to yourself. If you're not successful, you got to live with that, right? Mm-hmm. If you all building all these excuses, you can live with those excuses too. You can. I can tell you, oh, I was working the brackets. I was doing this. I was doing that. But the fact of the matter is, having that discussion with myself was important. And I had it today. I had it today with Levon, knowing that there was maybe one of 7 ways this thing could go, and only one of them would work out for me. So we got to make sure that we arm wrestle that way.
Yeah.
And I had it in about a 25-second situation where I backed up. I started crossing the shoulders, making my face big, and I envisioned going up there. And I remember just as recently as Moldova, arm wrestling left-handed, I really, really feel oftentimes when I am at my very, very best that I surprise myself so much. Like when I squeeze my hand and I'm right, it is such a magical feeling. It's awesome. I mean, I wish I could describe it the right way, but you know, there's that moment when the referee closes your hand, or he tells you to close your hand, or you've negotiated the grip that is going to start this match. Mm-hmm. If you can close your hand and then close it a little bit more inside of his hand, you can't always do it. Sometimes the other guy, he's done it. And you're like, are you kidding me? This guy's hand is a rock. So, you know, I've had those times where I really, really feel like, man, it would have been really interesting to see how much pressure it would take for me to lose today, because there's so much more in the tank, and I've already destroyed all these guys. And I've so much more.
I mean, it's fair you didn't get tested in 16, did you?
I was fresh as a daisy the next morning. I could have did it all again.
Yeah, you went through that like a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I mean, how much was that the strongest version of you ever?
Well, it was a very humble version. Okay. So let me tell you when I really get strong. I really get strong when I have a little bit of a fear. So I'm grinding. I'm scared. I'm working really hard up to 2016. My dad has passed away during that process. I'm really close to Dave anyway. In 2015 at the finals, I had his ass busted back then and didn't finish the match. So, I had all this motivation, because I knew I could get it. So now I've got all the tools that I could ever want out of fear of not having anything. And now my confidence is out of control.
This is Travis, show 4, clip on because we lost the screen and things went a bit weird. I'm going to join on. Travis, we were speaking there about your victory over Dave Chaffee in 2016. I wanted to sort of steer you back a little bit from those high points in your career. So I'm going to say, or I would say, make a claim that I've never seen you stronger than you were in 2016. Do you believe that, number one, that was the peak of your career, or do you also believe that you could be stronger going forward? Do you think it's still possible for you to get to that level? Obviously, you were talking about the fact that just today you were sort of, feeling it out and thinking, what can I do? Just give us a bit of insight on that, mate. Can you come back? Could we see you get back to that level again?
I think so. I think that you could see me because I'm telling you, as hard as I worked to get to that level, most people do that, before Wednesday. So the amount of work, it doesn't require a whole lot of work for me. But, it requires the utmost of work for me to do it. But for other people, I think they love training. Some people love training. If you love training, if I loved training, then that would be scary, I would imagine. But also, too, those guys deal with a lot more headaches and injuries than I'm willing to go through as well. I love Devin's career a lot, but if you're telling me I got to get a cup of bone taken out of my elbow, I'll trade the Canadian National Championship for not getting the cup of bone taken out of my arm. And I know that Michael Todd has, he's been through some sleepless nights. Yeah. I can only imagine with some of the positions and the ways that he's done things. So I think that there's a chance I could get really good again, or really peak at that level. Very simply, I think that it would require, though, enough money that would be the focus. The focus, I wouldn't have to worry about making YouTube channels. And, I just did a mulch job with my kids 2 days ago just to make $500. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to do that type of stuff. If there's enough money and we can barrel down and, it's fun. I got a offer to arm wrestle, Gennady.
And Quick Venia is an absolute monster. Before we go any further and we forget, and I don't want to forget, just let everybody know your YouTube channel, Travis. Let's just get that out there straight away.
Yeah, so it's Travis Bagent Unscripted on YouTube. We got about 10,000 followers, so, and I'm super lazy about it. Really trying to find my niche. I think that when people hear guys like me and you just that talk and are on the microphone, I think they assume that this whole podcast stuff is like the easiest thing in the world. But in my opinion, it's not that easy. It's so much easier for me to do it with you because in my opinion, you're in charge, right? When you have to then hit play and you have to self-produce the intro and to me, it's not it doesn't make me super happy to run a YouTube channel. But, I got partners. And there's a brand there, and I'm contractually obligated to do them. So because of you, I think I found my niche a little bit, and I'm just gonna tell some stories about my life and see if that really can maybe help me find a niche or at least inspire me in some way.
Well, I think everybody out there would agree, and I'm sure all the viewers will agree that it's unquestionable, mate. You are one of the, if not the most charismatic heavyweight arm wrestler, if not arm wrestler of all time. I mean, you're an absolutely tremendously charismatic bloke. You're funny as hell. And it's not an act. This is you naturally. When you hang around with you, that is how you are. That's your day to day, So I think a lot of people would agree. Certainly I'm one of the agree that you're made for the job. And I'm sure that your YouTube channel could go from strength to strength, mate. And one more time, it's Travis Bagent Unscripted. Ladies and gents, get yourself over there. Check it out. And you'll hear a lot more from Travis as he's going to be telling some of the stories that I know I'll be subscribing straight off the back of this because I'll listen to this guy all the time, But Travis, I wanted to ask you a question that I know everybody's going to be interested in. With all this talk recently about who's strong, who's not strong, and everybody's got their opinions. Who's the strongest man that you've ever arm wrestled? Who's the man?
I would say, there's only one name that pops in my head, and John's the only guy that has shut me down when, and made me, other guys have stopped me after I did what I wanted and they were able to grind it out. John actually put me places that I didn't want to be in. And, he was just, I'd have to say that he's the guy to me. Other guys have been really, really strong. I mean, to me, Dave Randall, here's the thing. When you say strong, you have to, I normally don't get put in the strong guy spot.
No.
The strong guy stops me from doing what I want at the very end. But in that process, it more or less makes them pull unnatural as well.
Yeah.
Slightly unnatural. So sometimes I will lose because I get out of position and their ability to stop me is their strength. But Dave Randall and John Brzenk actually took the match to me. And then when we said go, the match went their way, the way they wanted it to, instead of it going my way and them able to weather the storm. So for me, it'll be John and Dave are the two guys, John Brzenk and Dave Randall, right, are the two best. Now, there's no reason.
So really you're saying that it's not the strongest, it's the best arm wrestlers that you've
Well, for me, I think the way to feel overwhelmed on the match is when the match gets taken to you and you can't stop it. I've had the match taken to me and I've won, meaning somehow this guy does get the jump or, he gets the right timing and we're not in the place I wanted to be and I was still able to win. Not a whole lot, but it has happened. And then there's been times where I've just been overwhelmed at the start. And those are the ones that, that really, I don't really appreciate and they're mystifying.
So, do you think that it's a fair comment when people would suggest that there isn't the same talent, there isn't the same sort of cerebral approach to the sport generally within the heavyweight division? And do you think that was a big separating factor for you? The other day when we were on the show, and Engin was saying that a lot of the guys that are dominating the heavyweight division actually started their career as middleweights, as, 90, 100 kilo guys. And that's true for a lot of them. Devin Larratt, yourself, Vitaly Latin.
Well, I would be easy putting me in that category. Every time that I lost weight, there was like an amazing situation going on.
Okay.
Like, I'm a chubby dude who a couple times in his life lost 10 to 15, 20 pounds.
What was your walk around weight when you started though? Was like
I graduated high school. 230, 228 with no muscle at all, just chubby.
Yep.
And then, lost body fat and then started gaining muscle.
Yep.
So, but I do agree with you. Everything you're saying is right. I also find it hilarious that people like Engin think that so many people in their category are so talented and gifted from an arm wrestling standpoint. I think that the super heavyweights, when they get over 350 pounds, you expect stuff from them that is just not there, right? And it's easy to say, oh, those guys aren't that good. But the fact is, I'm not that impressed with the third place guy in the 65s either, with the way he moves. I got a feeling that he's just a big, tall dude who's really a 185-pound guy who is really good at losing weight and is really good at managing his weight. So I think that you have to have a high opinion of yourself, your weight class, and or the lighter weight classes in order to say the heavyweights are not that good. Well, I'm a super heavyweight who doesn't think that your class is that good either. Opposed to the real good movers, right? We have really good movers in each weight class. They're not necessarily always the strongest. When we find someone who moves really well, works his angles, his leverage, and he's strong, well,
that's your guy.
That's the guy, right? Yeah.
Let's talk about some arm wrestlers. I'm going to throw a name out there and you tell me about him. Michael Todd.
Can I give you good and bad? Can I play devil's advocate as well?
Absolutely.
So if I want to be a complete douchebag, then I tell you that his career, he lost so much and was so upset about it that a move was created. Now, if I want to tell you that he's the hardest working guy in the sport, he cares twice as much more about winning than anyone else does. He is a very average athlete who has reached superhuman capabilities. So, it just depends on what side of the pillow I wake up. Either he's a complete douchebag, unhappy person, or he's somebody that I envy as much as anyone in the world.
Devin Larratt.
Hey, if I want to be a bad guy, then I think that he managed his career to a point where if you analyze with a microscope, you can't find a lot of solid material. If I want to go on the other side and say he's the greatest arm wrestler that has ever lived, from a athlete, promotional, mentor, overall outstanding person, the type of person that you would be okay with your daughter marrying, and you'd be okay with him teaching your son how to hunt and fish. If my son wanted to hang out with Devin Larratt, I would push him, drive him over there, and drop him off anytime.
Jerry Carteret.
I got a ton of respect for Jerry off the court. I think that Jerry's and he's a lot like me in the way that, he's a little shady, right? I don't mean shady like he's a criminal, but he's just a good guy. Like, if you give Jerry 2 T-shirts and you're only supposed to give him 1, even if he recognizes it, he turns immediately, leaves the room, and says, "Hey, Trav, I got an extra T-shirt." So I love that side of him. I have a complete, I love him. He's funny. And he's got a kid that plays football.
Mason, yes.
He's 1 year younger than Tyson. So we have a unique relationship there. We speak about that more than we speak about arm wrestling. He, on the court, he's an absolute, one of the most dangerous human beings that could ever be in the bracket. He is one of the few people in the world that have a winning record against me. I was 6'8", 0-6, 0-8, trying to figure out what I was
doing wrong. How the hell do you get around that? Yeah.
And during those times, I would get a flash win against him, and even pulling him the wrong way, I could, depending on who the referee is, get that call, because it's that last quarter inch where, if you lay on your tricep, then he's going to push you right off the, if you lay on your tricep, you won't have enough side pressure to pin him. And if you try to come up on your elbow, he'll push that thing in the next room. It's not easy if you get where he wants. He was a huge accomplishment for me, right? Like in 2016, that was the match that I just wanted to make sure that I could take care of.
Yeah. It was the bogeyman.
Exactly. On the flip side, I don't think Jerry's the best arm wrestler in the world. I think that Jerry makes you question who the best guy is because of their performance with him. Mm-hmm. So Michael Todd's problem with Jerry makes people think Michael Todd is not the best arm wrestler in the world. Mm-hmm. Devin Larratt beating Jerry makes people think Devin might be the best arm wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
Very interesting, the roles that Jerry plays. And I know that Jerry doesn't like that. Jerry wants to be the man, and this motivation of the W.A.L. being consistent could give us a better version of Jerry each time out.
Yeah.
Jerry, a lot like me, will take time off and not be the guy. So he's got other things in life that he likes to do. He likes to make money, likes to buy fancy cars, likes to have kids, likes to vacation, likes football.
He don't mind a kid, does he, Jerry? He'll throw a kid out.
Bust a kid out.
You look at Jerry, you think his ears would be longer.
Yes.
He can just do a bit.
It doesn't matter his age, anything. He'll pop one out right now.
I'm not bothered. What? 55 kid, bang up. There's and it's there. And always a kid with wrists like that. It's massive animal. But here's another one for you, Dave Chaffee.
Oh man, incredible! Just an incredible strength athlete. I think that he does arm wrestling better than anybody as long as you follow the old school rules, right? Before, and here's the problem. Because of guys like Dave, guys that walk up and they have their shirt tucked in, there's no body fat on this guy, right? He's taller than you. His shoulders are 3 inches wider than yours, right? He's not the nicest guy in the world. I mean, you got to be careful how you say hi to him, right? It might be having a bad day, right? Like, he's a tough dude there. I'll tell you, there's 2 Daves. And I got to be careful with these stories because, Dave and Ingen, you could tell a story 4 years later, get slapped upside the head and not even know why because they remember these stories. But I have an opinion of Dave. There's 2 Daves, right? The Dave that I met in 2014 and 15 was an angry human being. I don't think he was in the best relationship in the world, meaning that he ended up getting divorced. And then he ended up marrying the girl again and getting divorced again. So if that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what could, right? So my experience with Dave was that, man, dude, that's a mean dude, man. Like, Bart, what's up with your boy? We're supposed to be teammates. Is everything cool with this guy? But the secret is Dave wanted to beat me way before he ever met me, right? Like, there's no doubt about it. If you got into the sport in 2007 to 2011, I probably introduced you to it, right? In some form or fashion. So, and I know that Dave had me in the crosshairs before he should have, but at this point, I'm clearly within sight, right? And he's playing the role where I'm getting all the press and all the publicity, even though I'm not even from Erie. But fuck you to think the mayor gave me the key to Erie the second day I was in town.
Yeah.
These guys have been living here their whole life, right? So that's so that relationship is happening and he's festering, right? So the day that I pulled in 2014 and 15 and in the game of arms and, a few times, that was an angry person, man, that really wanted something. And there was something inside of him that, and it was visible, right? It was very uncomfortable and visible. And, our team was split because Bart's a good friend of mine, but he's a good friend of Dave's. The light happened again, kid.
Oh, we're going to roll with it. We're going to go with it. It's good for me anyway. Darkness makes me look slim.
I got you. Then you have John Hanowski, who just loves me because I say hi to him. He's known Dave for 40 years. He ain't never got a hello from Dave, right? So he's hanging out with me when I'm in town. That's my boy, right? John's my dude. And then we got Wagner, James Wagner. He hates me more than Dave does because he wants Dave to win more than Dave wants to win, right? That's Dave's guy, which I'm completely okay with, right? Me and James are good buddies, but it was very clear to me that this was there, right? And I'm also trying to make sure that I maintain my dominance. So every time I'm around, I'm talking the same smack, just like I found myself with Michael Todd and Devin.
Yep.
Immediately getting defensive, saying they're terrible right away. I'm the guy. That's the way I'm going to be around those guys. And it's always going to be like that. They give it back to me as well. So, but Dave's not a really give it back to you guy. He's just a kind of smart guy,
Yeah.
So, the angry guy was very hard to beat. But in 2015, middle of that, he gets divorced and he meets this other girl. Well, now, he's dressing up in an Easter costume, taking family pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't the same guy. This guy's happy. This guy's the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I tell people that as long as he's happy with that woman, he's beatable. I just hope he never gets in trouble and gets divorced or gets back with his ex-old lady because whatever she did to him, she made it hard to beat him on the table. He was tough. I think that Dave's incredible. I don't think that Dave has enough tools in the back for any adversity. In the United States, he's not going to see much adversity. He's only got to stay out of Arkansas and stay out of my town, and he can pretty much run supreme. He gets over there with those Europeans. The plus is they're going to stay within bounds too.
Yeah, make it so he can pull.
Yeah, they're
not going to king move his ass.
Devil's advocates say he doesn't have enough horsepower. If you love him, you say this is what he's been waiting for. He's got an opportunity to pull these guys in an arena that he's comfortable with. He's done really well so far in that arena. That arena also allows the hypocrites and the naysayers to say that you're number one again. You know what I mean? He cracks Levon. He cracks Vitaly. No one remembers the losses to Michael Todd and Devin because of the unorthodox nature of the setting.
Do you think he can beat Levon?
No.
Is he a chance? No chance.
I don't.
No.
I mean, I just don't think he's going to win. I think that, of course he has a chance. I would love for him to let me train him for a couple months before that and just really convince him of how far away from him he may want to explore.
Yeah.
Because, like I had to do this with Rob Vigent, right? Rob Vigent Jr. wants to meet, Todd Hudson's on the top floor. Rob Vigent's on the third floor. Rob's going straight up the fucking elevator, and your boy's coming straight down the elevator. Well, who's got a better opportunity here? The guy with the high ground, right? So trying to convince Dave Chaffee that he needs to run away, manipulate the grip, change the angle in order to be in the arena is a tough sell today.
Yeah.
That's not what Dave's
It's like the antichrist of what he's always done.
Dave's buddies are telling him to lift more weight. And that's going to be the secret. And you know what? I've been wrong before. It won't be the first time that I think he should do something he shouldn't. He does it the way he wants, and he does great. However, convincing Rob Vigent Jr. to stay far away from Todd Hutchings was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But finally, right in the middle of the show, I think you were, I don't know if you were there or not.
Yeah.
2014, 2015, whatever it was. He goes right up there, left-handed, does the exact same thing that he does right-handed, lets Todd beat him again after I told him to please God follow this procedure. And he didn't. And I was very disappointed, not only in him, but in myself, that I couldn't convince him to do it. And he started again, and they messed the strap up, and they had to take it back off. And something told me, Travis, because, I'm going to look like a real dummy if after I stop this, take him off the stage, give him instructions, if he goes back up there and loses, then I am the worst person in the world, right? Not only has he lost, but I've drawn more attention to it, and I've ridiculously stopped the show. Like the ESPN cameras are going. And also, I don't think anybody thought he could win. He had lost every match before that, right-hand, left-handed, living his life to this guy. So, and after he had already lost once and already lost twice right-handed, I finally could not take it anymore. So I stopped the show, grabbed him by his arm, took him off the stage and said, "My man, will you please stay away from him like he has a disease? Don't put your hand anywhere near him. Fight the referee. Stay as high as you can and false start 3 times until you change the angle and he will hit into that thing. 1 time, if he happens to hit underneath your hand 1 time in these 3 false starts, nothing will be the same again." And lo and behold, can you believe it?
It shall come to pass.
Are you kidding me? It happened. So, and it happened with Luke Kent too. I did the same thing to Luke Kent at the Game of Arms against Cobra. He was looking for some scientific method on how to handle it, and I finally told him that this has nothing to do with science. It has to do with your vagina. Either you are going to check it or not. Go harder than you've ever gone in your life, and you will win. And he did it, and it's perfect. And I tell you, there's a lot of gratitude that comes from changing a guy's, just changing the outcome.
Yeah.
Like I've changed it with Ron Bath more than once. I changed it with Luke Kent. I've changed it with Dave Patton and Chad Silvers.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed it with, what was we just talking about? I changed that one. I changed it with Rob Bagent. 100% that I did that. And you know what's really weird is the other person involved.
Yeah. They hate
Todd Hutchins really was not happy.
No.
Cobra, not happy.
No.
Not happy.
So
But
Travis,
it's cool.
who's your favorite arm wrestler of all time, mate?
John Brzezinski.
Instant answer straight away.
Yeah, that's my hero, baby. Don't get it wrong. Plus, you know what? I love him. Like, I like him a lot more than he likes me. You know what would be really interesting is to see where I rank. Like, because I'm looking to come off the bench first. I'm like, I think I'm a first round draft pick of that dude. Mm-hmm. But I ain't sure of that. I'm not. I'm not sure.
Travis, another one for you, mate. What is your favorite match ever in your career? What's the match? If you had
the Richard Lupke match. The Richard match. The Richard match was the match, right? Are you kidding me?
Stand up.
That was a most beautiful, perfect rendition of someone being absolutely, completely in charge. There's no way that Richard should have lost that match, any of that. He was I guess, I hate to say it, just dumb enough to do that one little thing and just fall under my hand and allow that to happen. Like, that shouldn't have happened on so many levels. If Richard just would have been patient and didn't move, if he would have just not moved at the start, he was impossible to move. The only thing he could do is to take a very unhealthy, uneducated angle and fall just slightly into my hand and get the palm of his hand underneath of mine. And the rest is like a beautiful history. It's beautiful. That's crazy. Yeah. The boss at CrossFit, my man, Greg Glassman, the owner of CrossFit, more than one time has shown that to another very important person in my presence and said, "This is the greatest athletic moment in the history of the world. Watch this." And he always
still doing the CrossFit gigs, mate.
CrossFit's a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So it'll never not be. But he's married, 3 kids, and he doesn't have a big security crew anymore. Mm-hmm. So don't get me wrong. I love announcing, but announcing the CrossFit Games is a beast. Like, it's a 4-day, 13-hour, real whole lot of glory. So it's great to have done that. I'm not really looking forward to that, to those type of hours anymore.
Understood.
And you understand that, right? Like,
yes.
Like, hey, will you announce this tournament? We're going to have 400 people. Like,
it's going to be like 9 hours.
Call me when the finals. Call me when the finals hits.
Yeah, out of that. Yeah. Ladies and gents, fantastic to have this guy on again. Hey, Travis, before we get off here, I'm going to have Sevan Matosian on the show soon.
Wow!
Yeah, talking about pulling John. And I was going to say, do you fancy getting involved, coming back on?
Oh, I would love to.
Reunion.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's hey, one of the smartest guys in the entire world, that human being.
Guy. Absolutely love him.
The guy's still killing it. He's like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th in charge at CrossFit. He's a beast.
He's just awesome. What a top man. He's going to come on the show. I'm super excited to get him on, and I think it'd be good if you jump on there with us and we can.
I would love to. So. You let me know and make sure, just between me and you, that you tease Sevan about thinking he's the best father in the world.
Everything. Yeah. It's on.
Yeah.
Ladies and gents, Travis Bagent, great to have him back on the show. You'll probably be seeing more of Travis on the In the Presence of Greatness thing. He's been jumping on there, doing stuff with us, so check those shows out. And before we go again, guys, Travis's YouTube channel, please get on there. Show this guy some love. Check out what he's doing. He'll have more and more for you. Stories, all kinds of things going on that channel. Travis, give us it one more time, mate.
Travis Bagent Unscripted. Check us out. We're a lot bigger than this show. Come on.
A lot bigger than that. This is just a baby one. That's the where it's all at. Ladies and gents, if you do like this baby show, just like it, share it, subscribe, and we will see you on here next time. And until that time, guys, take it easy. Hope you're all well.